receive the Torah, it ought to change us. It ought to change the way we relate to those that are around us. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 3 of the Torah portion, Yitro. Let's go to Shemot, or Exodus chapter 19. I want to look at verse 1 and 2. And it says, in the third new moon, after the children of Israel come out of the land of Mitzrayim, on this day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. For they set out from Rephidim, and had come to the wilderness of Sinai, and camped in the wilderness, so Israel camped there before the mountain. Rephidim. It is the place over in chapter 17 where the people were so thirsty, it would seem that Moshe feared they would stone him. Instructed him to go to the rock at Horeb, or Sinai, strike the rock, and water would flow back to the people. In verse number 7, they had cried out, saying, as they tried Yahweh, is Yahweh in our midst or not? Well, Yah is about to reveal in this chapter exactly how powerfully he can be in their midst, and it ought to leave no doubt, no question, as to his legitimacy, his reality, and the powerful impact that he is seeking to make on their lives. Now, I've shared this many times, but it's worth mentioning again. In verse number 2, there's a little bit of a clue that is given to us that the Hebrew language, the original text, reveals to us. And that is that as we look at the first word, camped in the wilderness, it is in the plural form, suggests that they were just camping en masse. Maybe that would suggest to us that each one sought the best spot available for their particular tent and their family's possessions. No particular order, just seeking out the best spot. Maybe you've been to a Shemot or two like that, where it's a competition for the most shaded spot, or the sunny spot, or the most dry spot, the higher ground. Then, in the second usage of the word camp, they camp there before the mountain. It's singular. And it tends to suggest that there was a change of a process, some order, straight lines, paths between the tents. Okay, you as a group, you camp over here, and we'll camp over there, and then the other guys will camp over on the other side. And it was no longer sporadic, but more organized. This says to us that in preparation to receive the Torah, having a sense of order, having a sense of knowing your place and how to stay in your place. Today's vernacular, we say, stay in your lane. You handle what's responsible for you, and I'll handle what's mine to be accountable for. And I'm not going to try to tell you how to do your job, and I already know how to do mine, so let's just understand that. Most of us, I would think, as the reports that I've heard over the years would suggest, when we first began to study anything related to Torah, whether you started off with Shabbat, maybe you were asking the question, what about all these feast days that I read about in the quote-unquote Old Testament? Why doesn't anyone say anything about them, and why are we not doing them? And why are we celebrating feast days now that don't appear to be in the Scriptures? As we started down that path, and our inquiring minds needing to know, we probably, among this audience, some of us encountered well-meaning, well-intentioned, perhaps pulpit leaders and officers in our previous assembly places that began to warn us, you might want to stay away from that. And those that we know that went down that path, they only ended up arguing with everyone. Legitimate point. Maybe you heard from family members that said, I don't get it. You need to be careful with that. My own family told me years ago, be careful with your stuff. Be careful with that. It did become divisive at some point. trying to obey Yah, searching deeper in Scripture, walking more correctly according to what we read, it's not going to cause an audience to stand up and applaud you with a grand slap on the back and attaboys from every corner. You're probably going to get some raised eyebrows. You're going to get some furrowed brows. And you're going to get some warnings. The way you respond goes a long, long ways as to what happens after this point. Learning to camp with people who may or may not agree with you is very important. We can say, well, I got here first. This is my spot. And you'll just have to deal with it. That kind of attitude, even in following the Torah and its commands, searching out Shabbat, searching out the feast days, searching out what is clean and what is not clean, searching out to figure out how to apply these words to our lives, it can cause problems not only for ourselves as we make adjustments, but for those around us that used to know us walking a different way. It's confusing to them. It's problematic to them. And they're going to wonder, have you lost your religious mind? Or have you gone off the religious deep end? Patience. When you learn something, when you glean something from the Scriptures and your eyes are brightened and your spirit is filled with light, wonderful. Let it put a smile on your face and joy in your spirit, instead of a condemning finger pointed at those that haven't quite gotten there yet, telling them you're missing it, you're still lost, or you're a pagan, or any of the other accusations that have been thrown around. None of that is helpful. None of that's going to win you any gold stars. The heart has to be that we're willing to say, Father, show me your way. But not only show me your way, show me how to walk in your way. Show me how to relate with those that are still trying to figure out where this way is. Show me how to relate with those who are not even interested in where this way is. What's not really spelled out here, but from the other parts of Scripture that we should glean from, is that there was a mixed multitude that was included in this camping arrangement. They came out with Israel from Mitzrayim. They had no covenant claim. They had no bloodline claim, no lineage to declare. They just saw that the Elohim of Israel had destroyed their entire culture and world, and they didn't want to stay in it, so they chose to come out with Israel when they did. But this motley crew of assembled peoples, perhaps milling around and jostling around and elbowing for space, Yah looks at them and he says to them, verse 5 and 6, and now if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples, for all the earth is mine. Did you catch that part? Even those that disagree with you are still his. And you shall be to me a reign of priests and a set-apart nation. These are the words that you are to speak to the children of Israel. Yah laid claim to the whole group. And he called the whole group the children of Israel. No, they weren't perfect. They hadn't even received the Torah yet. They received bits and pieces here and there. They had not yet received the 10 words, the 10 commands. They had not yet seen the manifestation of Yah in all of his glory and power. But he called them his people. And he said, I brought you here on eagle's wings. I brought you here intentionally. I brought you here to reveal myself to you so that you could be mine, my treasured possession. So if there are those that Yah considers treasure, we can't treat them like junk. They're not refuse and garbage to be cast aside. We got to figure out how to shine up one another so that we all shine like sparkling jewels. That's our task today. We'll see you again tomorrow. To then, shalom.